I trace my fingers across the cool granite countertop, the one I spent weeks agonizing over, comparing colors, textures, and pricing until I found the perfect fit. Sunlight streams through the spotless windows, casting golden rectangles on the hardwood floors I handpicked. My apartment. My space. My name on the deed. The doorbell chimes, sending a ripple of anxiety through my chest. They're here. I smooth my blouse and take a breath before opening the door. My mother steps inside first, her gaze immediately sweeping the entryway with the precision of a real estate critic. "Amy, darling." She air kisses my cheek, the scent of her expensive perfume invading my space. Her lips purse as she takes in my carefully arranged decor. "Couldn't you have hired a designer? This place could have so much more personality." Dad follows, barely glancing around before checking his phone. "Traffic was terrible. Is there parking validation?" Jessica is last, designer sunglasses perched on her head, phone in hand. She barely looks at me before giving my apartment a quick once-over. "It's cute. Smaller than I expected." My jaw tightens. "It's 2 bedrooms. Perfect for me." I lead them through the tour I've rehearsed in my head, pointing out every detail I worked overtime to afford. The south-facing windows bring in natural light all day. I negotiated a great deal on the upgraded appliances. Dad barely nods, too busy scrolling. Jessica interrupts, beaming. "Did you see my latest post? 5,000 likes." She thrusts her phone toward them. "The activewear company wants to extend my influencer contract." Mom and Dad instantly brighten, crowding around her screen like it's the most important thing in the world. "Show us." Mom exclaims. "Your social media is really taking off." "That's my girl." Dad finally looks up, his face lighting up with pride. "Always knew you'd make a name for yourself." I stand by my kitchen island, forgotten. This was supposed to be my moment. I clear my throat. "I got promoted to senior manager last week." I say it casually, not expecting much. 3 years instead of the usual 5. Mom doesn't even look up. "That's nice, dear." Now about Jessica's collaboration. I swallow the familiar sting. A memory flashes. 12 years old. Saving my allowance for months to buy a laptop for school. Showing my parents with pride. "That's a lot of hard work," Dad had said absent-mindedly. That same night, Jessica came home with brand new designer jeans Mom had bought her just because. It happened again. And again. My full scholarship? A quick nod at dinner. Jessica's barely passing graduation? A backyard party with 50 guests. My stomach tightens but my voice stays even. "Anyone want coffee? I got that special blend from the local roaster." No response. They've migrated to the balcony, where Jessica is taking selfies, positioning herself for the best angle. This would make such a cute background for my wellness series. She tilts her head. Though I'd need to filter out those power lines. Mom and Dad nod appreciatively, as if she's discovered something I hadn't. By the time they leave early, *** because Jessica has a thing, *** I stand in the quiet of my apartment, feeling the weight of an achievement that means everything to me and nothing to them. A silent triumph. 3 weeks later, I sit at the dealership, pen in hand, signing papers for my new SUV. Not brand new, but new to me. 3 years of saving, driving a car held together with hope and duct tape, skipping vacations, saying no to impulse buys, all for this moment. The salesman slides the keys across the desk. "Congratulations, Miss Morgan. She's all yours." Pride swells in my chest as I step outside and run my fingers along the sleek silver exterior. I worked for this. Every dollar earned. Every sacrifice made. When Sunday dinner rolls around, I park my car prominently in the driveway. I want them to see. Dad gives it a cursory glance. "Nice car." I nod. It's a mid-range model. Good safety ratings. I negotiated them down $3,000. Jessica circles it, unimpressed. "Why work so hard? I'll just find a rich husband and get everything handed to me." They laugh, like she's said something brilliant. Mom squeezes her arm affectionately. "That's our Jess. Always thinking ahead." I tighten my grip on my keys, forcing a smile. I know better now. This moment, this victory that is entirely mine, will never be enough for them. So I stop waiting for it to be. Let Jessica have the spotlight. Let them keep handing her things on a silver platter. I don't need their validation. Because I earned this. And I'm damn proud of it. I follow them inside, the familiar weight settling onto my shoulders, the weight of being perpetually second best in the eyes of the people who should see me most clearly. But what they don't see is the resolve hardening inside me. What they don't know is that one day they'll push too far. And when that day comes, they'll discover what I'm truly capable of. Stand in a cramped dressing room, watching as my sister twirls in her $25,000 wedding gown. The silk whispers like money changing hands, diamonds at her throat catching the soft boutique lighting. Perfect. Our mother breathes, eyes glistening. Absolutely perfect. I glance at my own reflection, the bridesmaid dress they've selected for me. A shade that washes me out. A cut that does nothing for my figure. The price tag alone could cover my mortgage payment. Jessica adjusts her veil, admiring herself from another angle. Ryan's family has connections to everyone, she says. This wedding is going to be featured in 3 different magazines. Mom fluffs the train of the dress, spreading it out to maximize the spectacle. Our daughter has truly made it. I meet her gaze in the mirror as she glances at me, a smile playing at her lips, her voice honey-sweet but her eyes sharp. This is what real success looks like, Amy. Not hard work. Not independence. Not discipline. Connections. Appearance. The right choices. Across the boutique, I notice Ryan's mother and sister exchange a glance. Polite concern. They see what my parents refuse to acknowledge. Jessica's Maldives honeymoon arrives via Instagram. For 2 weeks, my feed is flooded with overwater bungalows, champagne at sunrise, designer swimwear arranged artfully on pristine white sand. The same day she posts her new Range Rover, an email arrives in my inbox. Congratulations. I open it. Director of Marketing. Effective immediately. I pour myself a glass of wine and open my investment portfolio spreadsheet, updating my salary figures. The numbers grow steadily. Not glamorously. Not loudly. But solidly. When I drive to my parents' house for Sunday dinner, Jessica's gleaming sports car dominates the driveway. Inside, she lounges on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Just ordered the most incredible Hermes bag. She announces, not bothering to look up. Ryan's bonus came through early. I set down the homemade lasagna I brought, still warm from the oven. That's nice, I say. I just got promoted to director. Dad glances up from his newspaper. Good for you, kiddo. Then he turns to Jessica. Show us the bag you're getting. For years later, my phone rings. I don't need to check the screen to know who it is. He just left her. Mom wails into the receiver, her voice thick with disbelief. After everything she's done for him. I grip my phone tighter, thinking of the luxury vacations, the closets of clothes with tags still attached, the sports cars traded in yearly. What exactly happened? I ask. Mom's breath catches. Ryan stood at the door with his suitcases. He told Jessica he couldn't support her endless spending anymore. That she'd never understood the value of money. She tried to explain that she deserves nice things, but he just walked away. I glance at my expense tracker app. Years of careful decisions reflected in neat columns. Jessica's divorce papers cite irreconcilable differences and financial irresponsibility. Mom spits the words like venom. His lawyer is being absolutely ruthless about the prenup. She's getting practically nothing, Amy. I close my eyes, exhaling slowly. Of course. Where is she staying? I ask, though I already know. Here, of course, Mom says, as if it's obvious. We've kept her room exactly as she left it. She needs our support right now. She needs your support. Like I never did. My hands tremble as I open the email. 3 times. Just to make sure I'm not imagining it. Congratulations, Lauren Davis. You are the winner of our European Dream Vacation Contest. Your entry showcasing innovative marketing strategies has earned you an all-expenses-paid trip valued at $15,000. Experience 2 weeks across 5 European countries. I stare at the words, reading them over and over. For once, my achievement is loud. It's bright. It's undeniable. And this time they don't get to steal it from me. I dial my parents' number. Excitement bubbling in my chest. For once, I have something extraordinary to share. Mom, Dad, you won't believe this. I entered a professional contest months ago and just found out I won. A $15,000 European trip. I'm going to see Italy and France. There's a beat of silence, then my mother's voice, soft, measured, dangerous. Oh, sweetie, she says, her tone shifting into the one she uses when explaining difficult concepts to children. You should give that to Jessica. She needs to heal right now. The excitement freezes inside me, hardening into something else. What? Your sister is devastated. My father's voice comes through, firm, expectant. A trip like that would really help her recover from this trauma. She hasn't had a vacation since the divorce. I blink. The divorce that happened because she burned through her husband's finances like a match to dry leaves. It's not transferable, I say automatically, though I haven't even checked. It's a professional achievement prize. I'm sure you could work something out. Mom presses, all sugary persuasion. Your sister needs this more than you do. It's selfish to keep it. The familiar weight presses down, the one that's been there my whole life. The expectation that I'll fold, accommodate, sacrifice. But beneath it, something new stirs. Something sharp. Something that's been waiting to be spoken aloud. No, the silence stretches so long that I glance at my screen to see if the call dropped. Excuse me. Mom finally says, her voice clipped. No, I repeat, steadier now. I earned this. I'm going. The temperature shifts. Amy Elizabeth Morgan. My father's voice sharpens, all authority. We're disappointed in you. After everything we've done. What exactly have you done? The words escape before I can stop them, but they feel right. When have you ever celebrated my achievements the way you celebrate Jessica's existence? There's a muffled noise in the background, a door opening, footsteps, then my sister's voice, lazy with disinterest. What's going on? Your sister is being selfish, Mom says, loudly enough for Jessica to hear. She won a European trip and refuses to give it to you.
Jessica gasps, pure indignation.
Are you serious? Her voice sharpens. You've always had everything easy. You have a job and an apartment. I have nothing. I have those things because I worked for them. Even as I say it, I know she won't hear me. Jessica's life has always been cushioned, softened by the sacrifices I was expected to make. We raised you to care about family, Dad says, voice heavy with manufactured disappointment. I do care about family. I exhale slowly, feeling the last of the guilt slide away. But I also care about myself. I end the call and stand in my quiet kitchen, shoulders square for the first time in years. In my reflection on the window, I see someone new. Someone with a straight spine. Someone with clear eyes. 2 weeks in Europe. Away from their expectations. Away from a lifetime of second place. I book my flight that night. What freedom feels like. The Tuscan sun is warm on my skin as I tilt my face upward, letting it sink in. Standing on this ancient hilltop, surrounded by cypress trees and rolling vineyards, I feel something I've never felt before. Peace. No one here knows me as Amy Morgan, the second best daughter. No one cares about Jessica's Instagram followers or my parents' transparent favoritism. I take pictures of crumbling stone archways and centuries-old frescoes. Never once do I turn the camera on myself. For 3 glorious weeks, I exist without comparison, without judgment, without having to make myself smaller. In my travel journal, the pen moves effortlessly across the page. For the first time, I feel valued for who I am. The Italian family at the local trattoria remembers my name, not my sister's. The watercolor instructor praises my eye for detail, not my ability to pose prettily. The hiking guide appreciates my curiosity, not my designer activewear. On my final evening, I sit with newfound friends, raising a glass of deep red Chianti. To building a life on my own terms, I toast. The words taste like possibility. The invasion 15 hours of travel have left me exhausted. I unlock my apartment door, luggage heavy in my hands. The moment I step inside, I know something is wrong. A pair of expensive stilettos, ones I'd never waste money on, litter the entryway. A silk blouse worth more than my monthly grocery budget is thrown carelessly over my sofa. The air is thick with expensive perfume, and underneath it something sour. Hello. My voice is sharper than I intend. A door creaks open. Jessica emerges from my bathroom, wrapped in my robe, water dripping onto my clean floors. She barely glances up from her phone. Oh, she says, tone flat. You're back already? Something snaps. What the hell are you doing in my apartment? She shrugs, thumb still scrolling. Mom and Dad gave me a key. I needed somewhere to stay. A slow, sinking horror settles over me. She gestures toward my kitchen counter. They're on speaker. I cross the room in 3 strides, heart pounding. Mom. Dad. My voice is sharp, controlled. Why does Jessica have a key to my apartment? Amy, don't make a fuss. Mom's voice crackles through the speaker, dismissive as always. Your sister needed somewhere to stay while sorting things out. Your place was just sitting empty. My place wasn't empty, I say through gritted teeth. I was on a trip. You should have given it to your sister. My father interrupts, his tone clipped. She needed it more than you. I close my eyes for a second, pressing my fingertips into my temples, trying to stave off the pounding headache building behind my skull. Where's all my stuff? In my bedroom, Jessica answers breezily, examining her freshly manicured nails. I had to move some things to make space. No big deal. No big deal. I take in the changes. The family photos I once arranged neatly on the bookshelf have been shifted, some even removed. My books are stacked carelessly in a corner. The cabinet doors in the kitchen left open. Contents rearranged to accommodate Jessica's organic specialty foods and imported juices. My apartment, the space I built for myself, feels foreign. Invaded. Then a horrible thought strikes me. My car. Panic grips my chest as I lunge for my keys. Jessica sighs dramatically as I rush out the door, ignoring my parents' voices calling after me. The elevator crawls. My pulse thrums in my ears as I jab the button for the parking garage, my hands slick with sweat. Space 247. My spot. Empty. The cold realization slams into me, leaving a hollow ache in its wake. I dial my parents, my breath coming fast, my footsteps echoing against the concrete as I pace. The second my father answers, I don't waste time. Where is my car? There's a beat of silence, then a sigh. Now, Amy, don't overreact. Overreact. The same tone he used when explaining why Jessica got a brand new car at 16 while I took the bus until I could afford a used one. Where is my car? Each word punctuated by the sharp click of my heels against the pavement. We sold it, he says matter-of-factly, as if discussing the weather. Jessica needed money to get back on her feet. The world tilts. You sold my car? My voice shakes, but not with sadness. With fury. You had no right. It was just a car, Amy. My mother cuts in. Just a car. Family is more important. Jessica needs us right now. It was my car. I whisper it at first, then louder. It was my car. I paid for it. My name was on the title. We'll discuss this when you've calmed down, my father says before hanging up. I stare at my phone, rage building like a physical force. I take the stairs back up to my apartment, too restless for the elevator. Jessica is still there, sprawled on my couch, scrolling through her phone as if nothing has happened. Where's the money for my car? My voice is steady now, steel woven between the words. She doesn't even look up. I needed things. Then I see it. A bank statement on the counter. My parents' account. A $25,000 withdrawal. Next to it, receipts from designer boutiques, a spa membership card, a stack of shopping bags filled with luxury brands. My SUV. My independence. My hard work. Liquidated to fund Jessica's healing. The front door swings open. My parents walk in without knocking. Like they own the place. Like they own me. You're being dramatic, my father says, waving a dismissive hand. You can buy another car. You have a good job. I exhale slowly. You stole from me. My voice is calm, eerily so. You sold property that wasn't yours to sell. My mother sighs, exasperated. Family shares everything. Why are you being so selfish? That word. That weapon they've wielded against me my entire life. Every time I wanted something for myself. Every time I worked for something only to watch it be handed to Jessica. But something is different now. My hands are no longer shaking. My voice is no longer small. I meet their eyes. Get out. Jessica's head snaps up. After everything we've done for you? Fake tears glisten at the corners of her eyes, her default performance. My father puffs up, preparing to deliver another guilt-laden speech. I don't let him. That ends today. I cross the room and yank the door open. Get out of my apartment before I call the police and report my car as stolen. Jessica gasps. You wouldn't. I would. I am. My arm stays rigid, holding the door open. A warning. A final chance. Jessica's lips press into a thin line. She tosses my robe on the couch and stalks past me. My father lingers. This is not how you speak to family. I stare at him unmoved. You've done nothing but take. My mother tries one last time. We're your family, Amy.
I hold her gaze, unflinching.
Not anymore. The door slams shut. I slide the deadbolt. For the first time, the sound doesn't represent keeping others out. It represents keeping myself in. I slide the manila folder across the polished desk. Evidence of betrayal, neatly documented in chronological order. The attorney flips through the pages, eyebrows lifting. They had no legal right to sell property registered in your name. Her voice sharpens as she examines the car title. This is straightforward theft. I want everything documented. Every penny. My voice doesn't waver. The tremor that once lived in my throat has hardened into something stronger. The attorney lifts a spreadsheet. You've kept receipts for years? I meet her gaze. Since I was 16. I don't tell her how it started. How every highlighted transaction was a desperate attempt to prove my worth. Every loan that mysteriously became a gift the second Jessica needed something. Every time I tried to show my parents that I was just as deserving. Hayes taps her pen against the neatly organized stack of evidence in front of her. Most clients come in with scattered memories, maybe a bank statement or two. You've brought me a case file that would make a paralegal jealous. I say nothing. Preparation has always been my armor. She lifts my car title, the highlighter mark vivid against my name. The vehicle was solely in your name. They had no authority to sell it. They never thought I'd fight back. I murmur, running a finger along the smooth edge of the desk. They still don't. The evidence piles up back home. I slip another document into the growing file. A screenshot of Jessica's Instagram post, timestamped 3 days after they sold my car. She's lounging in a luxury spa, a glass of champagne in one hand, a smug smile on her face. The caption, self-care is investing in yourself. Hashtag healing, hashtag treat yourself, hashtag deserving beside it. I place text messages from my father. Dad, we did what was necessary for Jessica. The car was just sitting there while you were gallivanting in Europe. Mom, family shares. You've always been so selfish with your things. I add receipts from the past decade, the emergency money they needed when I was 24, which somehow funded Jessica's destination birthday party in Mexico. The temporary housing they demanded in my apartment, which stretched from weeks to months. I close the folder. Tomorrow they learn what consequences feel like. The sheriff arrives exactly on time. I stand in my living room, arms crossed, as he knocks firmly on my apartment door. Jessica answers, her expression shifting from annoyance to confusion to panic. Nicole Morgan? The sheriff asks, flipping through his paperwork. Jessica blinks. Yes. I'm serving you with an eviction notice. You have 72 hours to vacate these premises. Her mouth opens and closes. She snatches the document, her perfectly manicured nails digging into the paper. Then she whips her gaze to me, eyes burning with betrayal. You wouldn't. I meet her stare. I already have. After the sheriff leaves, Jessica lunges toward me. You vindictive bitch, she spits. Mom and Dad will. I tilt my head. They'll what? My voice is calm, colder than I thought possible. Sell another one of my possessions without permission? We've reached the end of that particular road. I pick up her designer purse from my coffee table and hold it out. You might want to start packing. 3 days later I stand in the doorway, arms crossed, as Jessica struggles with her overloaded suitcases. The sheriff waits patiently by the elevator. This is ridiculous. She huffs, dragging a designer bag stuffed with clothes that still have tags. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem. My voice sounds different, even to my own ears. Unburdened. Jessica pauses at the threshold, mascara smudged beneath her eyes. Mom and Dad will never forgive you for this, she sneers. I don't flinch. I'm not asking for forgiveness, I say simply. I'm demanding respect. The sheriff checks his watch. We need to wrap this up, ma'am. Jessica opens her mouth, her face contorting as a tantrum brews beneath the surface. But for once, there is no one left to indulge it. With a final dramatic sob, she yanks her suitcase over the threshold. The sheriff guides her toward the elevator with professional detachment. I close the door, lock it, and for the first time the silence doesn't feel empty. Feels clean, uncontaminated. Mine. The legal battle. My father's voicemail plays on speaker as the locksmith changes my locks. Dad, you wouldn't sue your own family. We raised you. We paid for your. I stopped the recording. Add it to the evidence folder. The locksmith hands me new keys. Security system is set up, he says. Any unauthorized entry triggers an immediate alert. I pay him extra to finish today. Tonight I'll sleep in my space, truly mine for the first time in weeks. Their living room feels smaller than I remember. My mother perches on the edge of the sofa, tissues clutched in her hand. My father stands by the fireplace, arms crossed, face flushed with anger. Hayes sits beside me, her briefcase open. You have two choices, I say, my voice steady. Return $30,000 plus damages, or we proceed to court. My mother's tears fall freely. We don't have that kind of money, she whimpers. The same tears that once paralyzed me with guilt. Not anymore. My father slams his hand against the mantel. This is extortion, he roars. Hayes doesn't even blink. This is justice, Mr. Morgan, she corrects, her voice professionally detached. She flips open the file. The documentation is comprehensive: unauthorized sale of the vehicle, misappropriation of funds, and a clear pattern of financial exploitation. Exploitation. My mother's voice sharpens, outraged. We're her parents. I exhale slowly. Yes, I say. Then I look her straight in the eye. And parents shouldn't steal from their children. Where are we supposed to get $30,000? My father's voice is sharp, his frustration barely masked beneath a layer of forced composure. I glance around the house I grew up in. The one. They remortgaged twice to fund Jessica's whims. The vacations, the designer wardrobes, the luxury spa retreats. Then you'll need to sell the house, I reply evenly. You have 30 days to make arrangements. My mother gasps, clutching at her chest as if I've struck her. My father's face drains of color, his usual bluster faltering. Amy, he starts, voice softening, slipping into the same cajoling tone that used to work so well when I was a child. Sweetheart, we can work something out. As a family. I meet his gaze without flinching. We already tried that approach. I close my folder of legal documents, snapping the cover shut with finality. It didn't work out well for me. As we leave, I don't look back. The weight that has sat heavy between my shoulders for decades feels lighter with every step. Is it really revenge if you're simply demanding justice? The thought follows me to the car. For the first time in years, I allow myself a small smile. They never imagined I would fight back. They're about to learn that years of dismissal and theft create a formidable opponent. I straighten my navy blazer, exhaling slowly as I check my reflection in the courthouse bathroom mirror. My hands are steady, a welcome change from the trembling that haunted me 3 months ago, when I came home to find Jessica living in my apartment. The woman staring back at me stands taller than she did back then. The door swings open, and I step into the marble-floored hallway, where my attorney waits, briefcase in hand. The click of my heels echoes against the stone, sharp and deliberate. Then I see them, huddled together at the far end of the corridor. Mom's eyes are puffy. Dad's shoulders slump beneath his worn suit jacket. Jessica stands slightly apart, scrolling through her phone as if this is all a minor inconvenience. They spot me. Mom rushes forward, arms outstretched. Amy, sweetheart, we can still fix this. As a family. Her perfume invades my space. The same scent that filled my apartment when I came home to find her and Jessica had moved in without permission. This isn't who we raised you to be. Dad steps closer, voice low, his words calculated. Think about what this will do to our reputation. He lowers his voice further. To your mother's health. Is that what you want? A familiar pressure builds in my chest. The weight of family obligation. For a split second, I feel 12 years old again, swallowing disappointment while my achievements faded into the background of Jessica's existence. Then Jessica finally pockets her phone, flipping her hair. "You're destroying our family over a stupid car," she hisses. The pressure in my chest dissolves. In its place, something colder, stronger. I tilt my head, studying her. Her entitlement is almost laughable. "This stopped being about the car," I say, voice steady. "The moment you felt entitled to take what wasn't yours." I let the words sink in before continuing. "This is about 29 years of taking without asking." The courtroom doors swing open. My attorney touches my elbow, and I walk past them without looking back. Judge Carter's glasses reflect the projection screen as my attorney clicks through the slideshow of evidence. Exhibit A. My father's text message. "We sold your car. Jessica needed the money more." The words loom large against the white wall. 12 simple words that laid bare their casual theft. Miss Morgan has documented years of financial exploitation by her family members, my attorney states, clicking forward. Exhibit B. Bank statement showing $25,000 withdrawn the day after the unauthorized sale of my vehicle. Exhibit C. Social media posts from the defendant, Nicole Morgan, flaunting her purchases, made with my money. I watch my father shift uncomfortably, tugging at his collar. My mother stares at her hands, her perfectly manicured fingers twisting together. Jessica glares at me from across the room, her expression a mixture of disbelief and indignation, as if my seeking justice is the real betrayal. The judge's expression grows increasingly troubled as financial records flash across the screen. Years of loans never repaid. Unauthorized withdrawals. Misuse of my finances under the guise of family support. Their attorney mumbles weak rebuttals about family arrangements and misunderstandings. His arguments wither beneath the weight of hard evidence. When Judge Carter finally speaks, his voice cuts through the courtroom like a blade. "Miss Morgan," he addresses my parents, "you sold a vehicle that did not belong to you. You misappropriated over $30,000 in funds. You repeatedly took financial advantage of your daughter under the pretense of familial obligation." He removes his glasses and levels them with a sharp stare. This was not a misunderstanding. It was theft. A ripple of murmurs moves through the courtroom. I don't look at my parents. I don't look at Jessica. I already know what I'd see. Shock, humiliation. For the first time in their lives, they're being held accountable. The court orders full repayment of $30,000 in damages, plus an additional $10,000 in legal fees. Jessica gasps. My mother lets out a strangled sound. My father's jaw tightens. Additionally, the judge continues, Miss Morgan is within her rights to pursue further damages should she choose. Silence. The weight of consequences presses into the air like a storm before the break. For the first time in my life, I have the power in this family. I lift my chin unshaken. I won't be pursuing further damages, Your Honor. I hear my mother exhale in relief. Then I deliver the final blow. But I also won't be speaking to them again. Jessica's head snaps up. Mom lets out a soft, desperate sob. Dad's nostrils flare, his fists clenching at his sides. They thought the worst thing I could do was take them to court. They were wrong. The worst thing I could do, the thing they never expected, was to walk away completely. And as I leave the courthouse, I do just that. This is a clear case of unauthorized sale of property and financial exploitation. Judge Carter removes his glasses, fixing my parents with a stare that strips away all pretense. The court finds in favor of the plaintiff. The words hang in the air, heavy and irreversible. For years I was dismissed, diminished, overlooked. Now with 6 simple words that chapter ends. The defendants are ordered to pay $30,000 for the value of the vehicle, plus $10,000 in damages, and all legal fees associated with this case. A sharp intake of breath from my father. My mother leans in, whispering furiously into his ear. His face pales. We'll lose the house, she whispers, but the words carry in the silent courtroom. I should feel vindicated. I should relish this moment. But as I watch them grapple with consequences they never thought they'd face, I feel something else. Not guilt. Not regret. Just the hollow realization that justice doesn't heal the wounds. It simply stops the bleeding. 3 weeks later, I drive past my childhood home. The for sale sign swings gently in the spring breeze. A moving truck sits in the driveway, its back doors gaping open like a mouth ready to swallow the remnants of my past. Through the open garage, I catch a glimpse of Jessica carrying a box to her car. Her expression is tight, her movements stiff, weighted with an unfamiliar emotion. Reality. For the first time in her life, Jessica is facing a consequence that can't be charmed away, can't be passed to someone else. I don't slow down. I don't stop. My new SUV, nicer than the one they sold, glides smoothly down the road. Ahead of me, the future. Behind me, the house where I was expected to give and give until nothing was left. Now they're the ones downsizing to a 2-bedroom apartment across town, the same kind they once belittled me for choosing. The symmetry isn't lost on me. Back home, I stand at my kitchen counter, the one I hand-selected after comparing 12 samples. Sunlight spills through my windows, casting golden rectangles across the hardwood floors I paid for. But something is different. The apartment feels different. Because I am different. The court judgment sits on my countertop, the embossed seal catching the light. I run my fingers over it. A tangible acknowledgement of my rights, of my boundaries, of my worth. For a moment I consider framing it. A trophy of sorts. Instead I open a drawer, place it inside and close it with a soft click. This chapter is closed. I whisper the words to no one. Then I pull out my phone and scroll to my contacts. Mom. Dad. Jessica. 3 names that once defined my worth. Now they are nothing more than digital entries I no longer need. Delete. 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 With each tap, the weight I've carried since childhood dissolves. I take a deep breath. Not the shallow, bracing kind I once knew. A full lunged inhale. The kind that comes with an open horizon. My fingers trace over the engraved nameplate on my office door. Director of Marketing Lauren Davis. The brass feels cool and solid beneath my fingertips, like the foundation I built for myself. 3 years ago, I was fighting for recognition in a family that never saw me. Now, executives seek my opinion across conference tables. Amy, do you have a minute? I glance up as Chloe peeks into my office, her expression earnest, hesitant. I'm struggling with the presentation for tomorrow. I smile. Come in. I gesture to the chair across from me, where project briefs and quarterly reports sit in precise, deliberate stacks. Behind me, my Marketing Excellence Award catches the afternoon light. They spent years convincing me I was nothing special. I proved them wrong after guiding Chloe through her concerns. I glance at the final contract in front of me. The beach house, my beach house, sits at the end of months of research, calculations, and meticulous planning. A calculated decision. A deliberate move. I sign my name in smooth, confident strokes. The realtor beams as I hand back the pen. Congratulations, Ms. Morgan. It's rare to see someone your age making such sound investments. I smile, though she doesn't know the full truth. That each signature isn't just a financial milestone, but a declaration of freedom. One that came at the steepest price. That evening, laughter fills my apartment. Not forced, not strained, but the kind that echoes in your bones and reminds you you're exactly where you should be. 6 friends crowd around my dining table, wine glasses catching the glow of the warm lighting I installed after reclaiming my space. These people celebrate my victories without diminishing them. They ask about my dreams without redirecting the conversation to themselves. To Amy. Leo raises his glass, his eyes sincere. Who taught us all what real strength looks like. A toast to me, not as an afterthought, not as an obligation, but as a recognition. Our glasses clink and something warm unfurls in my chest, something that has nothing to do with the wine. For the first time in a long time, my smile is unforced. Genuine. Mine. The hostess leads me to my favorite table at Riviera. The corner seat where I can savor my meal in peace. Halfway through my salmon, the restaurant door swings open. I know before I even look. Them. My parents. Jessica trailing behind. They look smaller somehow, diminished not just by time but by the weight of consequences finally catching up to them. Jessica spots me first, freezing just for a moment before slipping on the mask of indifference she's perfected over the years. 3 seconds of eye contact. 3 seconds that once would have sent my anxiety spiraling. My heartbeat quickening with the anticipation of being judged, diminished, dismissed. Now I feel nothing but calm detachment, as if I'm observing strangers in a painting. I turn back to my meal, savoring each bite. They are seated on the opposite side of the restaurant. I don't look again. Wind whips through my hair as I drive my new SUV along the coastal highway. $45,000. A significant upgrade from the car they stole from me. The dashboard holds a small framed photo from my European trip. Me standing alone on a hillside, arms outstretched, face tilted toward the sun. A snapshot of freedom. Some prices are worth paying for peace. I whisper to the open road ahead. Julia hesitates, her fingers twisting in her lap. My parents think I should keep supporting my brother financially, even though he gambles it away. Her voice trembles slightly. She's brilliant but burdened the same way I once was. I meet her gaze. Steady. Knowing. Family doesn't always mean loyalty. I say the words coming easier now. Her surprise flickers across her face. She expected a softer answer. Maybe some well-meaning advice about duty and patience. Respect must be earned, even from those who share your blood. She exhales sharply, as if the truth stings before it soothes. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, I add. It's necessary for survival. A beat of silence. Then she nods. That evening I spread travel brochures across my coffee table. Greece, New Zealand, Morocco. Solo adventures calling to a woman who no longer fears standing alone. Beside them sits my investment portfolio, steadily growing. Blueprints for my kitchen renovation, the exact backsplash I've wanted for years. A detail once dismissed, now a decision entirely my own. I open my journal, a habit I've maintained since rebuilding my life, and begin to write. The family I choose will be the one I deserve. Each word is a shedding, a final release of the version of me that once measured her worth by their approval. The apartment is quiet, except for the scratch of my pen against paper. But for the first time the silence doesn't feel empty. Feels like mine.